I had always believed in trust. I had always believed that honesty, patience, and communication were the pillars of a strong marriage. I had believed in my wife. But sometimes, trust is tested in ways you never anticipate, and you find out that the person you love can betray you without a second thought. It started as an ordinary evening. We were sitting on the couch, her scrolling through her phone while I tried to catch up on some work emails. I noticed a small smirk on her face, something I didn't recognize. "Hey, what's got you smiling like that?" I asked casually, trying to keep the mood light. Her response froze me. "My ex invited me to Cancun. I said yes." I blinked, unsure if I had heard her correctly. "Wait, what?" "Yes, he just texted me. He's organizing a trip and I thought it would be fun. You know, old friends catching up." For a moment, I didn't say anything. My brain tried to process what she had just told me. She was married, carrying our responsibilities, and here she was, excitedly accepting a trip from an ex-lover without even consulting me. My stomach churned, a mix of anger, disbelief, and a creeping sense of betrayal. But I stayed calm. I had learned over the years that reacting impulsively, yelling, or begging only gives the other person power. I kept my voice neutral. "You're going to Cancun with him?" I asked, forcing my tone to remain steady. She nodded, animated, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. "Yeah, it'll be just a few days. Totally harmless. Relax." I took a deep breath, counting to 10, 20, 30, until I felt my heartbeat slow enough to think clearly. I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I didn't demand explanations. I simply said, "Okay." Her smile faltered for a second, probably expecting a reaction, an argument, some show of jealousy or concern. But I stayed calm. I didn't give her the satisfaction of seeing me rattled. I didn't beg her to stay. I didn't validate her choices. Instead, I began to think strategically, calmly, methodically. If she was willing to prioritize a trip with her ex over our marriage, then it was time to reassess everything. I quietly collected evidence. Texts, messages, receipts, inconsistencies in her stories. I documented everything, not out of obsession, but out of clarity. I needed to understand the reality I was facing. The next day, she left for Cancun, chatting excitedly about flights, hotel reservations, and excursions. I didn't follow, didn't call, didn't send passive-aggressive messages. I stayed home, living my life, focusing on work, on friends, on my own priorities. I let her absence speak louder than any words I could have said. By the time she returned, the dynamic had shifted. I was calm, controlled, and collected. I addressed the situation directly, calmly, without anger or accusation. "You went to Cancun," I said, "and while you were away, I had time to think about us, and what our marriage means to both of us." She laughed nervously, trying to downplay it. "It's just a trip. Nothing happened." I didn't respond immediately. I let the silence linger, letting the weight of my observation, my awareness, and my disappointment settle between us. Then I said, "The question isn't whether something happened or not. The question is whether this is the behavior I can accept in a marriage. The question is whether I feel respected, valued, and trusted. And right now, I don't." She tried to defend herself, to rationalize, to spin the story. But I had learned that confrontation isn't always about proving someone wrong. Sometimes it's about demonstrating your own boundaries, your own self-respect, and your willingness to walk away if those boundaries are crossed. Over the next few days, I decided to take control of my own life. I reached out to friends I had neglected, focused on work projects I had put aside, and even started counseling to process the betrayal. The calm I maintained during the initial shock allowed me to think clearly, act decisively, and regain a sense of control that had been shaken by her actions. Eventually, we had a longer, more serious conversation about the state of our marriage. I told her that trust, once broken, is not easily restored. I told her that the Cancun trip wasn't just a momentary lapse. It was a reflection of deeper issues, of priorities that didn't include me. I told her that if our marriage was to continue, it would require honesty, boundaries, and accountability. She tried to argue, to charm, to convince me that it was just harmless fun. But I had seen enough. I had experienced enough, and I refused to allow myself to be manipulated by someone who treated our marriage as optional, as a game, as something to be set aside for pleasure. In the weeks that followed, I maintained my calm, my focus, and my independence. I didn't obsess over her actions, I didn't retaliate or humiliate her. I simply reclaimed my life, my dignity, and my sense of self. The betrayal she inflicted didn't control me. I controlled my response, my emotions, and my choices. Looking back, the Cancun trip was a turning point. It revealed her priorities, her willingness to betray trust, and her disregard for our shared life. But it also revealed something about me, my ability to remain calm under pressure, to act with clarity, and to reclaim control over my life without giving in to drama or emotional manipulation. I stayed calm while she went to Cancun, and in that calm, I found clarity. I didn't let her actions define my worth. I didn't let her betrayal dictate my behavior. I simply observed, recorded, and acted with purpose, and in the end, that made all the difference.